PlayStation needs to give us like a public holiday to make up
Well,
for
they
it.
said, I saw someone say 7 days, and that did make sense, because then at least you're covered for the weekend and weekdays.
I saw one tweet where someone was saying that they should give them Lego Horizon, and I was like, okay.
Hello and welcome to the Press Start podcast, Press Start Australia's weekly video game discussion podcast. I'm your host, Ewan, and I'm joined today by my fellow gamers and co-hosts, Shannon.
Hello.
And a very surprised-looking Brodie. Did I catch you off guard with that intro?
I feel like the sound dropped out a bit, but it'll come out in the wash, I'm sure.
I've actually noticed that in some recent recordings. I think like the mic like tries to cancel the sudden like loud noises I start, and it like dips it out a little bit. I've had to combat it somewhat in the edit. Anyhow, I digress. Today on the show, we're going to be discussing Brodie's preview of South of Midnight, the PlayStation Network outage, the latest on Warner Bros.' Woes, and checking in on the FantasyCritic scores so far. But Shannon, first to you, what a week it has been for you, huh? Did you think your week was going to involve seeing Snake versus Monkey being included in Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater?
I didn't know where that was going then. I had to really think about what had happened to me in the past week. No, I didn't. That was a very cool moment. I knew I've never played that MGS. Like, I knew of the Ape Escape thing, unlike that game that you brought up in What the Wiki the other week, actually. What that is. But I don't think it's ever been included in any re-release. And like to see the apes on like Unreal Engine 5 and like how good it looked, really cool, like somewhat realistic, but like obviously not realistic in art style, was a cool moment. And I just think the apes are coming. You can just feel it, can't you?
The stars do seem to be aligning somewhat. First Astrobot, now this. Are they coming back for good? Is this it?
Yeah,
you'd have to hope so.
I hope so. I think a lot of people are going to get to experience Ape Escape like through this. Like that wouldn't probably normally, like Astrobot, like obviously the genres are like the same. So still a cool moment, but this is totally different. So I'm excited for it.
I'm not having played an Ape Escape game. Like, is the experience in Astrobot like pretty authentic to what playing that game is like? You're just out there catching escaped apes. Is that
essentially? And you get different gadgets, like an RC car to get in different areas, or like I can't think of other, but yeah, essentially that is the core experience. Yes,
catching apes. Think that gameplay loop like holds up in the modern era? Do you think they could just?
It's never not fun. I think it's always going to be fun. Make it open world, live service, never-ending experience.
Fair enough. Well, in case you missed it, the release date for Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater leaked, thanks to PlayStation, no less. They updated the store inadvertently. Maybe it's got something to do with a rumored state of play that I want to get to a little bit later in the show. But August 28th is when the game is due to come out, thanks to that little leak. On a sadder note, Shannon, just sticking with you in Shannon-specific news for a moment longer, what was going through your head hearing that PlayStation rejected a pitch for Resistance 4? That comes according to outgoing Insomniac Games founder and president Ted Price, speaking to Kinda Funny.
I really should have read this before, just so I knew it was coming my way.
I'm surprising you with everything now.
Yeah, that was sad, because I do love Resistance, and like it is one of those franchises that you do feel like Insomniac would have had ideas for, even though it never really performed as well as PlayStation would have hoped. And I think I read that this was going to be something totally different. And I still think it's not like anything PlayStation has. So I'd love to just see them remaster the trilogy or something and see if there is an appetite for it, because I just don't feel like we have many good first-person single-player shooters anymore. Like, they're all very online-focused or, like, co-op focused.
Yeah, like Brodie, a kind of campaign-driven sort of one, I guess.
Yeah, like with abilities. They're all very, like, grounded or whatever. I just think Resistance was so different, and my God.
Yeah, I'm curious what games would you point to?
Exactly.
Because, like, I'm kind of with you, Shannon. Like, I feel like it's been a little while since I had a really good story in a first-person shooter.
Let's not sit here and pretend like the Resistance games had great stories for a second. All right.
No, I didn't say stories.
But in terms of like,
fair enough.
In terms of like single-player, like driven FPSs, I mean, we've got a Doom game coming out in like 2 or 3 months, and we've had one a few years ago.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Granted, Doom is probably the one carrying the torch in that regard, but what you mean to say is PlayStation hasn't had any good first-person shooters, which is accurate.
Correct.
Yeah.
Resistance was good. I don't know if... I know you haven't played it, Ewan. Did you actually play them, Brodie?
I only played the third one. So admittedly, which I'm hearing is the worst one. I don't know.
Yeah, 2 was always the best one.
It was weird.
It had, like, a 2-weapon system. And
I understand 3 was a bit of a departure from what the other 2 were. It felt a bit more like Western-ish. It was okay. Like, I didn't mind it. Like, it was solid shooting and stuff like that. So, but I mean, I think as soon as Insomniac put out a Spider-Man game that sold 10 bajillion copies, I don't think they were ever going to be making another Resistance game. So
yeah, and if they didn't put Resistance to the wayside, they probably wouldn't have done that, right? So I think that's probably
I can't see Resistance doing worse than like Ratchet, but then I understand that Ratchet's for a different audience as well, so I understand why that. Anyway, I would like to see them doing something that isn't Spider-Man, and Resistance is the first thing that comes to mind. So
I just would like the trilogy to be available somewhere. Like,
or
the fact that you have to dig out a PS3 at the moment, it's really annoying.
There is no good reason for that not to be available. You're right.
Yeah. I would love for that to be the case. And I know, like, you can emulate and stuff, but
allegedly,
that's obviously rather cumbersome and illegal to do. So yeah, it'd be nice to just like have a legit kind of easy way to access those games. But anyhow, I guess I'll just keep playing Resistance Retribution on my PS Vita until then. Let's get stuck into the rest of the topics for today. Brodie, you've previewed South of Midnight, a game I know we're all pretty excited for. Having been able to spend some time with the game, how is it shaping up? Is it the kind of extra string in the bow that Xbox are after?
Yeah, I think so. I think, and I sort of allude to this over the course of the preview, but I think it does fill a bit of a gap that is missing in that Xbox portfolio. Like, it's that, I guess, prototypical third-person, over-the-shoulder, story-driven action sort of adventure game that Sony have built their empire on, and it's something there that Xbox has always been missing. And admittedly, coming from the team that did Contrast and We Happy Few, like, what I've played of this game so far is a genuine surprise. Like, it's either they've learnt a lot from those last 2 games, or they've now just got Xbox money to fuck with, and they can pour a bit more time and budget into these things. So yeah, as far as what the demo is, it dropped me in sort of in the 3rd chapter, which I assume is not too long after Hazel finds her way into this, like, fantastical world where, like, folklore is coming to life and stuff like that. Because as we would have seen in the trailers, like, she gets into an argument with her mother, the house gets swept away in a flood, and then she goes downriver to try and find her and stumbles into this world. It's very, I guess, Alice in Wonderland-ish, very, Wizard of Oz, she's a stranger in a strange land sort of thing. And yeah, like, the world itself is so super cool. Like I said in the preview, like, it's a shame that so much of, like, the Deep South mythology is not really something that's documented that much. Like, I'd love to read like a Neil Gaiman Norse mythology type book that sort of covers it. I've looked into a few, like, there's a book called Blackwater that I'm thinking about getting, because I feel like it covers off on a lot of that stuff. But it's just such a cool world. Obviously very rich in culture. Like, the music plays such a big part. Obviously the art direction is something that people will be talking about. That stop motion look, which is very good at hiding, drop frames here and there. It's very, very clever. But yeah, very Into the Spider-Verse-esque, which it's sort of come into vogue after that. But yeah, as a game, like, it's reminds me of a lot of different games in a lot of different ways. Like, the combat is very, like, arena based. So, like, you walk into this zone, it blocks off all the walls, kind of like almost like Devil May Cry. Like, it like encloses you in this area, and you got to fight all the enemies. The combat, I guess, at first I thought it was maybe gonna drag and be a little one note. That's the thing that I had the most pause with, was the combat at first. But as I sort of got further into the demo, I sort of started to, spend my floofs, which is the currency, and unlock a few more upgrades and things like that. And it sort of began to become a bit more rounded, and I sort of got a concept for, like, comboing things like that. Not that there is a combo system, but, like, you just get into a better rhythm of it. So in the end, I felt like the combat shows a bit of promise. Like, I think it is probably the weakest part of the game, but by no means is it bad. Like, it's just sort of there. It was kind of like Dungeons of Hinterberg. Like, the exploration in that game was really great, but the combat was just sort of like, it was there. But the exploration side of things, I think, is really cool. Like, the platforming is great. There's a lot of, like, parkour within the world that reminded me a lot of like Assassin's Creed, cool air dashing and gliding that reminded me a lot of like Sunset Overdrive. So I feel like there's a lot of like cool bits and pieces like plucked from different games that sort of bring it together to be like a really cool action and adventure game that, yeah, like I said, has been something that's missing from the Xbox portfolio. And so far, like the story does seem to be quite good. Like the chapter I played basically focuses on Hazel as she gets to this world, and she sort of works out that her job as a weaver, or her abilities as a weaver, lets her sort of glimpse into like past events within this world and like get a view on like people's past pain and stuff like that. And she gets like this bottle off the bottle tree, which she uses to like, you know, collect like essence from the world, which lets her like, again, keep viewing these sort of things, which then lets her form a pattern, which forms a whole picture of the pain, which lets her then try to reconcile that with the person or creature involved sort of thing. And it's always like this big set piece that sort of ends the chapter. Like there was like a big chase sequence towards the one that I was doing, and then the chapter surrounded around like you're talking to this catfish who's like you would have seen him in the trailers probably.
I remember him from the trailer,
he's like held up by like a tree, like a man who was like nailed inside of a tree and then grew with the tree basically. So it was called the Benji tree, and you have to basically climb him and untangle his I guess trauma to free this fish, and then I think he becomes your little companion throughout the game by all sort of like what the game is suggesting to me. So like it's just the world and the setting is great. Like the story it's engaging with me so far. The art style is obviously probably the game's big selling point, but I mean I'm cautiously optimistic that this could be that action adventure game that Xbox sort of could do with, and it's certainly going to do well on like the Xbox like Game Pass sort of platform. It's very much, I guess, to draw a comparison with something that might have come out on PlayStation. It feels very like Kena Bridge of Spirits. Like it feels like that sort of scope and that sort of, I guess, polish from like a smallish team. But I mean, I've enjoyed what I've played.
I mean, that comparison's very promising. That's good. I mean, I was going to ask, my follow-up question was going to be like, if the combat is kind of maybe taking a bit of a backseat to the story or to the art style, like is the story kind of enough to kind of keep you moving from beat to beat? But it kind of sounds like it is based on your experience, right? Like even if the gameplay isn't kind of developing as much as you'd like, you kind of got enough.
And that's not to say it's not. Like I don't get me wrong. Like it's the combat, which is entirely separate to like the exploration. They're very segregated experiences. Like you never do one with the other. Like you're basically in an arena fighting or you're exploring. And like they keep throwing things at you. Like even over the course of this chapter, like I unlocked heaps of like new traversal abilities, which made traversal fun. Like by the end you like unlock a wall run and stuff like that, which lets you sort of, it's very like Titanfall or Sands of Time. So I mean like they're constantly throwing things at you. And like I said, the combat did warm to me, or I warmed to it rather, by the end of the demo, because like I kept unlocking abilities and I thought, oh hang on, this is starting to, you know, take a bit of shape. It's not just hack and slashing like it sort of appeared at first. So, and that might have been coming into the demo without any context at all because literally the first thing you do is get chucked into an arena. Like you get like your little bit of story preamble, and then you bang straight into a thing. So, that may have just been the context of the demo. So,
All right. Very cool. I'm excited. Remind me again when it's out. It's quite soon, right?
That's a great question. I want to say it's April.
Okay, maybe not quite as I thought then.
I want to say April 8th, but let me see.
It is April 8th.
I love the click clacking of Brodie's
April
keyboard.
8th.
It's so pronounced. Did you get much of a sense of like how long it is? Like I know that's a difficult question to answer given you just previewed it, but like do you get the sense of like it's like a 40, 50, 60 hours sort of game or something kind of sub 20?
Definitely not. No, not even that. I reckon it's probably going to be 10 to 12.
This is ticking all the right boxes for me. I'm very excited.
Absolutely.
I know we were going to check in on FantasyCritic later on, but who drafted this game again? I remember someone doing it.
And now this let's not pretend there's controversy here. I picked it up after the developer direct,
right?
Which was
me
previewing it. So there's no suspicious behavior here. I'll tell you what, looking at the FantasyCritic,
but not that.
Shannon's burning all his picks early, isn't he? He's not
I
really waiting
noticed
at
that.
all.
Yeah, let's
What did I do? I
save
don't even
the
remember.
let's
Yeah,
save
yeah,
the
yeah,
check
sorry,
in
sorry,
until
sorry.
the end. But that's a good tease. Now though, I want to talk about the PlayStation Network outage. This occurred this past weekend, and it was an outage that lasted about 24 hours. And I think it's fair to say it sent the world into a bit of a spin. Shannon, how did it affect you, if at all?
It didn't affect me. It affected me in the sense that it made for some great traffic on the weekend for me to write about. Yeah, I wasn't ever going to... I was playing Avowed. I'm allowed to say that. I was playing Avowed on the weekend, so the
Okay.
Xbox Master Race comes through.
That's handy.
Yeah, no, it didn't affect me, but I was surprised how long it lasted without any kind of information. Like, I was shocked when I saw it was still going 12 hours later. I thought it would have just been fixed, but no.
Yeah. It's funny. I booted up my PlayStation Portal to play some more Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which I'm thoroughly enjoying, by the way. I should call that out. And I was playing on my Portal in bed, and it was not connecting, and I just couldn't figure out why. And I just put it to the side and went on with the rest of my day and didn't check my phone. Was totally unaware there was an outage, but it wasn't until I read that later on. I'm like, oh, that's probably what that was.
Again, this is a minor thing that impacted a very small amount of people, I'm sure. But if you were trying to sync your disk drive up to your PS5 Pro or Slim Digital, you couldn't do that for that 24-hour period. So
I'm amazed just how broad this was. I'm glad it only lasted 24 hours and it wasn't like that epic outage we had back in, that might have been
11,
early,
I think.
Yeah, 2011. That sounds right. So that was PS3 era.
Yeah, 21
wasn't it?
days.
Yeah, that was unreal when that happened. Yeah, traumatic flashbacks.
Yeah.
Brodie, do you think the gift to players of an additional 5 days of PlayStation Plus subscription is kind of sufficient compensation for the outage?
It feels quite meager, doesn't it? Granted,
I'm considering you only lost 1 day of use. You're getting 5, I think, it's not too bad,
I
right?
guess, but I mean, what does it cost them? It costs them next to nothing. But
fair.
yeah. Look, I guess they didn't really have to do anything.
I did
know
see
those people,
someone say
people were
that
expecting
because
games.
people lost a weekend day, and this was you were
should
getting
count for 10.
5 weekdays essentially. It's not really an even trade.
PlayStation needs to give us a public holiday to make up
Well,
for
they
it.
said I saw someone say 7 days, and that did make sense because then at least you're covered for the weekend and weekdays. But I think it's fine. I'm honestly shocked they did anything, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's just a sign of good faith.
I saw one tweet where someone was saying that they should give them Lego Horizon, and I was like, okay.
I love that.
I don't know how many people are playing in that game. It'd probably be for the best. Sticking with PlayStation a moment longer, according to known leaker Nate the Hate, who are kind of most famous, I guess, in recent times for all of the bang-on Switch leaks that came out ahead of that announcement. Anyhow, they've tipped that a state of play is happening around Valentine's Day, another little gift for all of us PlayStation fans. Brodie, is there anything you would in particular like to see kind of shown off later this week on Valentine's Day? How did you do that,
I didn't know that was a thing.
I don't know if it's going to show up in the edit, but he just did a heart sign and
I think it
hearts
will.
appeared everywhere.
Fingers crossed.
Is that just a your camera thing? I don't think that's coming through for me.
Mac thing.
Oh, Mac thing, right. Anyhow, back to the question, Brodie.
Obviously, as we'll allude to
hope to
later, I
see.
guess when we check in, I would love a Ghost of Yote release date. Otherwise, do I really want an update on Marathon? I don't know. I guess more just to get it out the way.
What about Death Stranding? Surely you...
Yeah,
Dying
I'm
for it.
foaming at the bit for that. So, yeah, look, I
We've
could go-
seen Kojima's been editing a trailer
Yeah,
recently,
look,
right? He's shown photos of his timeline on his computer.
honestly though, I would be happy if I didn't hear about that game again until it was on the shelves. I just want.
Yeah, we don't need to know anything more about
I'm
it at
sold
this point in
already.
time.
Just get it out. I don't need to see.
I could see a release date being announced for it, though.
Yeah, I reckon you get either Yote or Death Stranding release date. Maybe Death Stranding if that's going to be front half of
Death
the year.
Stranding feels safer with a DualSense or something. Or face plates or something. Something like that.
Do you think we probably won't get anything substantial in terms of other first party things? So do you think we see third party gear Resident Evil or something like that?
I've seen God of War is the one that's thrown around. There's the Greek mythology remaster thrown around, or a prequel. I mean, state of plays are a mixed bag. Sometimes they're really good and other times they're not. But I feel like I could see a God of War trilogy, if that is the thing, like being at something like this, because it's not like tier 1, but I guess God of War is a big enough franchise that you would have it at something like this. But yeah, we don't really know a lot about PlayStation 2025, so that's exciting and scary, I think.
Yeah. Presumably, we would get a kind of confirmation of the release date as well for Metal Gear Solid Delta. Like that kind of being
I think
leaked
it's
when
pretty
it is,
safe
that
bet.
seems like a pretty safe bet.
Yeah.
So maybe we get another trailer for that. But yeah, I can't imagine this is going to be anything show-stopping. I think the biggest news we'd likely to get would be something more around Ghost of Yotei. Which, yeah, I'd love to see. Presumably we kind of get like a deeper gameplay dive for that at some point, but I doubt that would be this, right? Like they would probably announce that kind of down the line of like ahead
Might do
of,
like
you
a
know,
mid-year
a couple of
state
months
of play
out
of its own.
I could almost see it having
Yeah.
its own. I think it did last time, had its own state of
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
And they usually kind of announce that ahead of time, don't they? So
Do you think PlayStation are going to do a big showcase this year? Or is this sort of
I think
the
ooh.
ilk of what we're going to get? Because I mean, when are we going to hear about Wolverine?
we're probably due for another one, aren't we? Like another, because like, I don't
there's
think
still a
we
lot of
really
unknowns.
know what's.
I could also not at this, but I think if they do a showcase, I could see GTA being there in some capacity, like not the release date trailer or like a major trailer,
Yeah.
but like exclusive content or a controller or something like that.
So many controls. That's Xbox game, baby.
Yeah,
Stay in your lane.
PlayStation are loving it at the moment. I think we're due. We didn't get one last year. I don't think we had one the year before either, but they're all blending together for me.
I was just
we
about to
do feel
say,
due.
like, we don't really know what the long game is for PlayStation at the moment. Like, there's a bunch of stuff kind of, like, I'm thinking back to 2016 where they announced, like, their next 5 years worth of games, basically.
Yeah.
Feels like a while since we've had something like that, but we've probably been drip-fed it more in kind of the last couple of years. Like, we know Wolverine's on the way. That's presumably, you know, still got a while away. We've got Cory Barlog's standalone project.
Venom
We've got
as well.
Intergalactic, obviously.
Do we think Venom's happening
Surely
still, or
Venom's
is that gone
shit
now?
canned.
Yeah.
God.
Surely.
I don't
That's sad.
know. I feel like that could still be kicking around. Like you don't.
You would hope so.
There's not a lot of Venom in the game, and they've kind of got
Venom.
that character. Like I can kind of see
18
them doing something
inches,
Miles Morales-esque
please.
with it.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, now that Bluepoint and
Distracted
Bend had their games
Yeah.
scrapped, and like they would have been probably the next ones that we saw. Like apart
Yeah.
from Cory Barlog. Apart from Corey's game, which he's been working on for like 4 or 5 years, there doesn't seem to be like there would be a lot that's ready to go for a showcase.
Maybe Brodie's right that we kind of it's nearly time for like some more of Marathon or even Fair Games, whatever the hell is happening
Or maybe
with
they'll
that
just mass
game.
cancel them in a state of play.
Yeah.
By the way, we've cancelled these 2 games.
Yeah, literally.
Do we know
Maybe
what
they
the
just show off
real
Forza Horizon
working on? Yeah.
and Halo collection.
You weren't around last week, Brodie, when I was like asking the question, when do we see Xbox appearing at a PlayStation event to announce the games that they're bringing to the console?
I don't think PlayStation would ever allow it. I think Xbox would be all down for it. They're like, no worries, let's get our games out there. Please buy our games.
I could still see, and this might be totally the opposite opinion that I had last week, but like I still think Halo or Gears like would be cool to see at something like this, and I do think
I think
PlayStation
they
might
would make-
allow it.
Yeah, I think they would allow you to come along with a trailer. Maybe not like Phil Spencer on stage.
Yeah, or like
that's a
7
bit far-fetched,
games,
but
or like an Xbox overload. But like I think
Yeah.
for something like Halo or Gears, you would allow it.
including
I
a
think.
trailer in
I'd be
there.
surprised.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised.
I would too, but it'd be a big moment. Like it'd be a very big
would.
moment.
I was listening to Kind of Funny, and they said for PlayStation, the console wars are still alive. Like they're still fighting that war. It's been over for years, but they're still fighting the fight.
Well, you don't want to let Xbox back in if not to fuel
Yeah.
the wars, but like if you're PlayStation, you don't want to.
But at the same time,
them a
like
platform.
putting your biggest IPs on someone else's platform, that's a concession. Like that's waving
Yeah,
the white
exactly.
flag, going, all right, just have our
Yeah.
games.
I think the battleground isn't so much around console sales now, but it's like everything else, and it's about the attention economy, right? Like you're trying to win people's eyeballs, people's time, that kind of thing. And PlayStation want you kind of as heavily invested into their ecosystem and their IPs as possible.
But
like
I think
if the Halo movie comes out, that's not a Sony property. Like they want
Yeah,
viewers
that's
playing
true.
PlayStation games so that they then go to the movie theaters and see their movies and buy their merch and all that crap, right?
I
Subscribe
do
to
think
Peacock and
that's
watch
their
Twisted
long-
Metal.
at some point though, PlayStation can leverage that like every Xbox game is on a PlayStation console. Like at some point they can almost
Yeah.
flip the scripts and
get our
yeah.
console exclusives and eventually
and Halo and
Xboxes.
Gears and Forza and whatever else there is. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. I will be really keen. I assume it is happening. I'll be keen to see what PlayStation show. But again, it could go either way.
Yeah. All right. One more news topic for the day then before we kind of tuck into our Fancy Critic check-in. We recently had a conversation about Warner Bros. And the struggle that they were in light of Suicide Squad bombing and Multiverse is struggling, ultimately going offline. That was announced recently. A Bloomberg report this week has claimed that Rocksteady are working on a single-player Batman game and that the Wonder Woman game in the works has been rebooted last year, having changed directors, with $100 million already spent on the development of the game. Ouch. Brodie, you weren't able to wade into the conversation, I think, when we last spoke about this. How optimistic are you that Warner Brothers can turn it around? Does this news give you any kind of... Is this light at the end of the tunnel?
I'd say the outlook is bleak. Yeah, to be... Now, have they actually scrapped everything, or do they have like assets that they can now rely on for whatever they
I'm
pivot
sure
to?
that- yeah,
like, it's not
I'm
a
sure it's-
complete waste of
yeah.
$100 million, I'm sure. But either way,
Yeah.
even if it's a waste of half of that, that's not great. But yeah, look, I read that the other day, and that was gutting because like after, you know, like Shadow of Mordor and all that, those Mordor games, like I was keen for like a Wonder Woman game that was, I guess, in that vein with like a Nemesis type system. I thought that was a cool premise. Whether they just couldn't find the fun in it or whatever, or it just didn't make sense, I guess we might not ever know. But I'm surprised they're going, as much as I would sort of be down for it, I'm surprised they're going back to the well with Batman with Rocksteady, just because I feel like everyone is going to have a bad taste in their mouth after Suicide Squad.
I just don't know what other option they have though.
No, I think they're really going to place their strengths, like, absolutely. And it might not be what they want to do, but if they can kind of make it work and they know it's going to bring in sales, like, it's maybe the way to go. At least for their
It's been a bad couple of years for like superhero games in that sense. Like even Gotham Knights didn't really hit. Like I guess for DC superhero games, I suppose. So yeah. Look,
I mean, we also had Marvel's Avengers kind of really struggle as well.
Yeah,
but
that was poor.
I thought like the telltale quote in this report from Bloomberg was, you know, having spoken with people at Warner Brothers, speaking on under anonymity, obviously, they said that years of ineffectual trend chasing and wasted development time are kind of to blame. I think that's like very much kind of summarizes well like what we were trying to say last week, right? Like that ineffectual trend chasing, it seems to be the case of like just going after these live service games, putting people out of their comfort zone, chasing these trends, just really
like I'd love to
did
know
them
what a
dirty.
Suicide Squad game could have looked like in a world where they weren't going after the live service audience. Like I feel like they could have like and like because they simplified that game in so many ways. Like I feel like they could have done it where every character was unique. Like there wasn't fucking just everyone shooting guns and stuff like that. Like you could have actually played to King Shark being a shark. And like it could have been an interesting co-op sort of game.
Haven't most of the Suicide Squad movies like flopped as well? Like the Harley Quinn.
I think the James Gunn one was fine.
Okay.
I
They've
don't-
not
I don't-
been like
I don't know that it made mega bucks, but
$1 six. Yeah.
let me quickly tap away here and find out.
It's like
I know the first one, the David Ayer one, bombed and was critically panned. The James Gunn one had like 90 on Rotten Tomatoes, and
I can't say I was a fan.
It didn't.
I think it's okay.
It didn't make its budget back.
it's also like, and again,
really?
Brodie, you
Oh,
would
wow.
know better than me, and maybe you and like if they did another Arkham game, which I think people would be keen for. I guess what could they even do to make it different or expand on what was there?
Yeah, I mean, at the end
That's
of
the hard
Arkham
thing.
Knight, they sort of did allude to like Batman Beyond and stuff like that. So I mean, they could go that route. But I don't know, like because I feel like they've even shat on that with what the fuck was that game? Yeah, Arkham Knight. No, what's it called? Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I mean, they've retconned all of that.
Retconned all that, but I mean, still, like, how do you even know what's what now? So I mean, yeah. I don't know.
I mean, I think there's room because, like, Arkham Knight came out a fair while ago now, right? Like, I think there's still a lot you could kind of do with the next gen tech.
Is it 10 years old?
Kind of.
Must
Shit,
be, yeah.
it might have been. Yeah, I reckon
more
that
than
probably
that, I
came
think.
out like 2014, 2015. Yeah.
I thought it was
So
2015.
I would be keen just to play like that style of Rocksteady Batman game. But
Yeah, that were very
albeit,
good.
like on modern hardware. I think that'd be awesome.
June
Like even looking
2015.
at what Insomniac have done with the Spider-Man games, like imagine that kind of style of game with that level of polish, that kind of traversal kind of being applied to Batman game. I mean, Spider-Man really kind of owes a lot of that, I think, to the Arkham games. But yeah,
from a narrative perspective and from a character perspective, like I just don't know if they were to carry on that story, like what could they do that's gonna be, enough to draw you back in. Like they've killed off the Joker. Like Scarecrow is basically a done thing. Like I don't know what other like big
maybe
villains.
it's something in the Batman universe without Batman being the protagonist. Like,
They tried that, and I feel like that flopped.
yeah, fair.
I think it has to be Batman.
If it's not Batman, get out of here. Like I don't know, make a Robin game or something. I don't know, but
Yeah,
I worry where they'd go with like a villain. Maybe I think the Penguin's in vogue a bit. Maybe they like focus on him a bit after obviously that show did well. So I don't know, but that's trend chasing, so we shouldn't do that.
maybe if it was like a real kind of gritty, like Matt Reeves kind of that's the director of the Batman, right?
Yeah.
Something that kind of style.
I feel like
That would
Arkham
be,
was already pretty gritty.
Yeah, comic booky though. Like I feel like the Batman's much more kind of grounded and like a Batman that probably kills people and stuff. Give me that kind of game.
Give him some guns.
I don't think the Batman kills people like that.
Doesn't he?
I don't think so.
In the Batman?
Ben
No?
Affleck's Batman kills people. I
Maybe
don't
I'm
think Robert
confusing
Pattinson's
all the
Batman kills
Batman.
people.
Let's move on.
I might be wrong. Let me know in the
Just give me
comments.
like a
below.
muscle car rather than a tumbler. That's kind of the vibe I'm feeling. Yeah, let's move on though. Let's see what Warner Brothers do. I for one would love to see that Wonder Woman game materialize. FantasyCritic check-in time though. There's been a couple of changes. I know I picked up the first Berserk Kazan, and I noticed that James picked up Ninja Gaiden 4. Gaiden 4. Shannon, have you added some games to your list as well? I think I saw you sneak a couple in
I
there.
think he's added 3, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Three.
I thought I got Ninja Gaiden. I don't think James has done
Oh,
anything.
You
Have
got
I
Ninja
confused the two
Gaiden
of them?
Ragebound.
What's that?
Oh,
I
you
thought
got
that
Rage-
was
That's like the arcadey
Shannon's
one.
just out here adding them to his list without knowing what they are.
That's
I
the
thought that.
that's not
I
4.
thought that was.
That's not 4.
Oh God. Okay.
I mean, Rage Band does look good too, though.
It does
I don't
look
think
good.
that's a terrible pick.
I wish you could see how much people have paid for these things. That's what I'm most curious
I
about.
don't think
Well,
I
you
went
can
more than
see-
$1 for anything.
Yeah, you can see how much budget they have left.
Ah,
You
really?
have $93 left, Brodie. Shannon's only spent $3,
been
so he's doing
overspending.
okay.
I've been overspending.
Well, it's hard to know if someone else is going to try and swoop in on your turf.
So
as well, isn't it?
I picked up Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, which I thought was Ninja Gaiden 4, but that's fine. I also got, I think, Mafia: The Old Country, or did I have that? I think I had that.
You picked up the
Dragon
Outer Worlds
Quest
too?
and the Outer Worlds.
Yeah.
Did you also get Dragon Quest 1 and 2
Yeah.
HD 2D
I did,
remake?
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's a
That
good
felt
pull.
like a safe bet.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a
I
good pull.
think
I
that
thought that
is.
would have been like in the ports/remasters camp and maybe not eligible, but it says remake right there, doesn't it?
Look,
So-
I'll end up forgetting, so I
Yeah.
was like, I'm just going to go now and spend my dollars. And what I've got 3 left, is that right?
you got 3
I
spots.
don't think it's a bad idea. The struggle that I've got at the moment is like my counter pick. Like I don't know what to fill that counter pick slot as yet. Nothing on anyone's list is like screaming to me that's not gonna fly, but yeah, I don't know. And I'm no doubt other games will get announced throughout the year, but I do understand your urgency to kind of populate the list because the sooner you move on
I don't-
something, the
The
better.
only
I
thing I'm not sure about is like why haven't I been given points for Civilization 7 yet?
That's a good question,
Like,
actually.
reviews came out same day as Kingdom Come, I thought, and well done on that.
It's
by
not
the
out
way.
yet. It's technically not out, so is that
Right.
it?
Maybe that's it. Well done on
Right.
Kingdom Come. What a pull.
Yeah, pretty pleased with that. Obviously, I had people in my ear kind of saying, hey, like this game's pretty good, but I didn't
Collusion.
know like what the
Collusion.
what the general consensus was going to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, 19 points off Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. That got 89 on Metacritic. But I think James has done well too, getting Citizen Sleeper 2.
Yeah,
That
again,
got 16
collusion.
points from
I
that.
shouldn't have
so
told
it's
him about
pretty narrow. Yeah.
Yeah, when's someone gonna throw me a bone? I'll wait for that. I'll wait for that day.
Hey, pick up Ninja. All right, here's a tip. Drop Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. Nah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
I think that'll
I'm
be
still
good.
confident. As long as Donkey Kong happens, that'll put me in good stead, I think.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Well, yeah, Donkey Kong's locked.
I wonder
in
what'll
now
happen.
because someone counterpicked it.
Because
That was you, Brodie.
I've been hearing a lot of rumors about like Mario and Donkey Kong being in a mainline 3D platformer, like together. So what would happen there?
I guess they would decide.
Whoever's
FantasyCritic,
build
the
first, maybe. I don't
They
know.
would, yeah, they would make the decision.
Because I've read
kind of-
rumors of like a Mario Donkey Kong Odyssey, which would be interesting.
That would be sick. I'd be so about.
Never-
Yeah,
Nevertheless.
you and I will both win in that
Yeah.
instance. I hope.
I didn't select the Mario game. That was
James.
James, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so other than South of Midnight, which I alluded to earlier, which I'm feeling a
Yeah.
bit better about now, I picked up Slay the Spire 2, which I think is a
nice.
clever choice because Slay the
That
Spire
is a
1
clever choice.
was one of those games that just people fucking frothed. So
Yeah.
Well, we have to have a rule where you can't review the game you've chosen. Is that going to have to be a thing?
Well, there's a lot of
if
people reviewing the same game.
Yeah,
think
I mean,
that's
if you want to.
Brody doesn't need another reason to give
Xbox games a 9.
Yeah. So currently in the lead, it's me narrowly on 19 points. But I think Brodie, you're still. I don't quite know how the projected points work, but you're still first place in that regard. I was gonna say I'm a little bit nervous having counterpicked Claire Obscure Expedition 33 as well, because I just feel like the closer we get to release, the more excitement there is for that game and people kind of talking it up. It's like, I think it was announced the other day, they've already kind of signed the rights away for a movie adaptation of the game. Like, and not that that's necessarily a surefire success, but yeah, I'm a little bit nervous that that's actually going to get a bag of points and that's going to come back to hurt me. But we'll see. We shall see. What it might bag me a bunch of points, though, is GTA 6, which Take-Two have reaffirmed is on track to release in fall 2025, which is our springtime. My rapid-fire question of the day for the two of you is 0 to 100, how confident are you that it does indeed come out this year? Are you more confident now that they've said this?
I think you've got to be. I'm going to say 79.
79, okay. I'm going to say I'm 90% confident.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm going to say 97%. I think it's coming out
Just
this
like
year,
it's
right?
Metacritic.
Like, it might.
Yeah.
They've got to be pretty confident now. It's Feb. It's mid-Feb. So if they're saying it now, like, they've got to have good reason to believe it's coming this year.
Yeah, I just feel like they've had a couple of opportunities now to say it's
Yeah, exactly.
no guarantees it comes out this year, and they've doubled down every opportunity they've got, which I don't know, even from like a businessy sort of perspective and like your shareholders and stuff.
Yeah,
like you kind of got to do
We
that
don't
right.
know
so-
when the initial release date for this was as well. Like, it could have already been delayed internally 3 or 4
Yeah.
years. Like, that wouldn't surprise me. So
Yeah,
it's going to be a big year. Is what I keep thinking. If everything sticks,
it is. Can't wait.
huge.
Big year ahead. We've also got a big year ahead in What the Wiki, the Press Start podcast game show where the previous week's winner reads part of a Wikipedia page from an unknown game, and the contestants must guess the game. A point is awarded for each correct guess, with the round concluding after one person scores themselves 2 points. As last week's winner, James ought to be in the hosting chair today. He's currently in first place on 5 points. I'm in second on 4. Brodie, you're on 2 points, and Shannon, you're on 1 point. Given I'm second after James, I thought it only fair that I host today in his absence and give you two an opportunity to catch up, because I'm going to be honest, I need you two both like in this game being competitive. I need the pressure in James. I can't do it alone.
Ewan
okay?
can't do it all himself this year, is what he's saying.
So I've prepared the games for the two of you. If you're ready, I will read the first game. I'm seeing some nodding, which doesn't help the audio listeners, but let's go.
Fuck him.
Gameplay in the game is similar to many first-person shooters, but the player has access to special powers called psionics, similar to psychokinesis. The 5 psionic powers are Shock, Drain, Heal, Blast, and Shield. Jack, Curtis, and Troy Alexander, new recruits of the Lightstormer Corps, receive psionic implants after completing their training missions. Brodie's looking confused.
Yeah,
Through his training performance, Jack is placed comparably to his oldest brother and commanding officer, Blake Curtis, and their late father, a revered Lightstormer, who was a personal friend of United Nations President Krieger. Blake gets an emergency call. A crew of cryo-pirates have commandeered a space station in Jupiter's orbit. At Blake's orders, Jack goes to the station and activates the self-destruct sequence. A mysterious girl named Eve monitors Jack in action. The game started its development as a 3DO game, since the 3DO was the only commercially viable CD-based console at the time, and development kits for it were available at very low prices. According to Ted Price, Insomniac presented the game to virtually every available publisher, being rejected by each one before Universal Interactive agreed to adopt the game. Shannon. What? This is a deep cut.
Yeah, nah.
Very deep cut. Are you bowing out?
I know what it is, but I just can't grab it.
I don't even know what it is.
Midway through development, it became apparent that the 3DO would not be a success, and the alternative platforms Sega Saturn and Sony PlayStation became available, leading Universal to recommend switching the game to the PlayStation. The game is a 1996 first-person shooter video game developed by Insomniac Games and published by Universal Interactive Studios for the PlayStation. It was the first game to be developed by Insomniac Games. The game was released in Europe by Interplay Productions. It received positive reviews from critics, but was a commercial failure, selling well below the company's expectations. Surprise, Warner Brothers didn't publish it.
I'm dumb. This is not my area. Cryo-pirates.
Well, that was just like an unhinged description of a game. Lightstormer Corps. Look, I'm not sure I'd expected the two of you to get this one because it's a deep cut, but I thought I'd try it nonetheless. I do have another one prepared if you want me to give you the answer.
Is there a way you can lead us with any hints rather than
it
just...
starts with
D. This is going to give it to Shannon.
Starts with the letter D. One word.
Shannon. Doomsday.
No, it's not Doomsday. No.
One word.
To give you... I mean, this is like going to be too...
Just go. Next game. I don't like this. Neither of us know it.
My clues are going to be dumb if I go any further. The game's called Disruptor. If you're listening along at home and you knew that game, point to you. Game number 2 then. Good thing I had prepared more. The game is an action game which features 4-player co-op and a selection of weapons akin to those that are prominently featured in other games from the same developer. Each character has its own powerful, unique powered weapon that can assist other players in gameplay. For example, Dalton's weapon is a mag shield that can absorb bullets, and its secondary fire can push the bullets back at the enemies, killing them. The first official released screenshots revealed that the game is a third-person action game with cover shooting mechanics. Characters also have a skill tree which can be upgraded as a player increases his or her level. The game also includes a horde mode titled Echelon, similar to that in Gears of War. The game is set in the near future and follows a team of 4 misfit agents, collectively known as Overstrike 9, whose mission is to stop the evil Raven Corporation from gaining an alien substance. The name of that alien substance is important, by the way. The game is a 4-player cooperative third-person shooter game developed by Insomniac Games and published by Electronic Arts for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. The game was announced as Overstrike before it was rebranded in August 2012. Boys, you're letting me down.
I can't.
If there's one developer I've got blind spots everywhere for, it's Insomniac.
I thought this might have been like.
I thought Spider-Man was their first game.
I can picture everything the box art. I just can't think of the name.
It's another one-word title game. Starts with F. Come on.
I've forgotten everything.
You can get it. Cooperative Insomniac game published by EA.
And you said
And
the
it was
Alien
also
Substance,
not a good game.
Why is
Also
it
did not
coming
sell
to my
well.
head?
Alien Substance is important. Probably the name of the title.
Yeah, it was called something. The Alien Substance. One 4-letter word, starting with the letter F. Yeah. One of you guys has got to get this. I've got no more games prepped.
F word,
If
4 letters.
Yeah. If you combine two elements together.
Fuse.
Hey, Shannon's got it.
There you go.
Well done, Shannon. Fuse, yes. A forgotten Insomniac game,
For good
I would
reason.
say. For good reason.
Never known.
All right, game number
orange.
3. Shannon could clean sweep this if you guessed
If it's
this.
another Insomniac game, you probably will.
Yeah.
The game is an action-adventure game set in a third-person perspective. Players navigate a metropolis in the year 2027. This dystopian world has been overrun by mutants called
Brodie.
Brodie.
Is it Sunset Overdrive?
It is Sunset Overdrive, as mentioned by you earlier in the show. I think you've picked up on the theme now.
Yeah.
Games that nobody remembers.
Well, let's see about that for the next one. Sometime after the events of the previous game.
Brodie.
Yes, Brodie.
Spider-Man, Miles Morales.
It is not Spider-Man Miles Morales, I'm afraid. Sometime after the events of the previous game, the titular heroes, having joined the Polaris Defense Force, along with Kronk and Zephyr, are assigned to escort criminal Vendra Prog to a remote prison to serve her life service. Shannon, sentence. Life sentence.
Ratchet and Clank, Deadlocked, or Gladiator.
It's not Deadlocked or
I said
slash
this
Gladiator,
last
I'm
week,
afraid.
didn't
You
I?
did, yeah.
When am I back in?
I think I did a Ratchet and Clank game last week as well. While Vendra is being prepared for the handoff, she uses her psychic powers to disable the ship's power, putting the crew's survival at risk. Gameplay is similar to other games in the series, but more focused on gravity. The game includes new weapons and gadgets, as well as some returning ones, including
am I
the
back?
fusion grenade and the warmonger. Yeah, you're back,
Brodie.
Brodie.
Ratchet and Clank. Up your
Let's
arsenal.
just rattle through them. It's not up your arsenal, I'm afraid. No. Shannon.
Ratchet and Clank 2.
It's not Ratchet and Clank 2.
Brodie.
No.
What? How many
Right.
fucking Ratchet and Clank games are there?
Ratchet and Clank, Size Matters.
No.
Is that a
Ratchet
game?
and Clank, A
Are
Crack
we
in
just gonna?
Time.
It's not a crack in time. No.
I don't know any others.
How long is this going to keep going?
Ratchet and
I can
Clank
keep
3.
reading. There might
is
be some
no
clues.
3.
That's up your arsenal, isn't it?
That's up your arsenal. Yeah, I'm fairly sure. The game introduces weapons including the Winterizer, which creates a tornado that freezes enemies and turns them into snowmen, the Omni Blaster, a fast, short-range weapon, and a Nightmare Box, a device that scares enemies usually in forms of clowns, an eye, or a pirate, leaving Ratchet all sorts of weapons to eliminate them. Your robot companion participates in 2D sections referred to the Netherverses, which are mind-bending puzzles where he must navigate a treacherous maze while a nether follows him.
It is A Crack in
The
Time.
main goal is for the Nether to reach the other side of the rift through the protagonist's dimension. The game is a 2013 third-person shooter video game developed by Insomniac Games and published by Sony Computer Entertainment for the PlayStation 3. It is the 8th main installment of the Ratchet & Clank series and the 4th and final installment of its future saga. The series is noted for the inclusion of exotic and unique locations and over-the-top gadgets, elements of the traditional Ratchet and Clank
Ratchet and
experience that
Clank
return in
Lost
this game.
Dimensions.
No, not Lost Dimensions, no.
I don't...
I can't remember the last round we did that had like so many stumps in it.
I'm not feeling good about this.
Ratchet and Clank.
This is a bad day for me.
There was
Dimension
kind of
is in it, isn't it?
no, the word dimension's not in it. No.
Okay. How many letters?
Do we need to start like rattling through the future games? Can you remember the future games? That came
Oh, so
out
you're saying
on
it's got
PS3
future in the
era?
title?
No,
Oh.
it doesn't have future in the title, but it was like part of that like
Ratchet and
sub-series.
Clank, Lost for Booty, Ratchet and Clank, A Crack in Time, Quest for
All
Booty,
parts of the
Lost for
future
Booty.
series, but not the game in question.
Something Destruction.
That was the first one.
Okay, that was the
Also
first
not
one.
the game.
Is that Tools of Destruction? Something like that?
Tools of Destruction, yeah.
Stop Googling it,
That's
Shannon.
not the-
I'm not.
I was typing it up. I was going to
Uh,
see. The game had a purple cover.
I just-
or
Yeah,
like
I
it was
know.
largely
I
purple.
knew that.
Like spiraling kind of purpley portals around it.
I just truly don't know. This is such a blind spot.
So it's Ratchet and Clank, and then it's 3 words. It's
Lost in time, into the future, distance,
No,
dimension, rift.
no, you're thinking about Rift Apart.
Into the...
Distance.
Maybe you guys just
Dimensionator.
don't care about Ratchet and Clank games as
There's
much
too
as I do.
many.
Into the... Ratchet and
It
Clank.
Portal.
Into the void.
No.
That felt good. Ratchet and Clank. Is it into the
How
something?
many letters?
It's into the something. Yes. Whoever gets that something first is
can't
getting
even
the point
remember.
here.
This must be painful
I've
for
said.
people to listen to.
This is going to be awful
Like
for people
I've
to
played
listen
them
to.
all. Like it's probably the one franchise where I played them all from start to finish.
I know. I thought for sure, Shannon, you were going to back yourself.
Whereas
some
I've
points
not
for this
played
round.
one of them, so I'm at least justified.
Have you never played a Ratchet and Clank game? So into the third and final word
Into the
starts with the letter N. There's still nothing.
Nether realm.
No.
Into the
You
nether.
kind of- You kind of
Nether.
getting there though.
Into the...
Netherverse.
Next.
Into the Nexus.
Nexus.
I think Brodie came in just in the nick of time there.
Oh, that's painful.
Bugger, he steps up to 4 points too, so he's now equal with me. But that was intentional. We want to put some pressure on James, so Brodie and I neck and neck, just behind him now. And with that, let's bring an end to what was this week's episode of the Press Start podcast. I was really hoping that was just going to be like a quick and easy What the Wiki, because I felt like we were going to go long in the show otherwise. But subscribe to us on Listener or the podcast service of your choice. Follow us at press.au and visit the site at pressstart.com.au. We've been joined today by Brodie.
Hello. Thanks. You can follow me on most things at Brodie_DG.
And letting me down with his
I know,
just
2
poor
weeks in a
memory of
row.
Ratchet and Clank games, it was Shannon.
Yeah. Don't even follow me because it's not worth it after that.
And I've been your host, Ewan. You can follow me on socials at Ewan_Roxborough. We'll be back again next week, but until then, happy gaming.
Bye.
Bye.